How does a company go from being the undisputed king of the pandemic economy, valued at over $50 billion, to a cautionary tale worth less than a luxury SUV? It is one of the most jarring financial collapses in modern tech history. At its peak, Peloton was not just selling a bike, they were selling a religion, a high-tech, high-octane community that promised to bring the elite fitness studio experience right into your living room. Investors looked at the numbers and saw a rocket ship that would never touch the ground. But behind the gorgeous screens and charismatic instructors lay a fundamental misunderstanding of human behavior and a series of catastrophic bets that would eventually lead to a staggering 95% drop in share price. Today, we are dissecting the rise and fall of Peloton and the $50 billion lesson that every entrepreneur needs to hear. This is not just about a bike. It is about the danger of believing your own hype when the world is standing still.
The year was 2012. John Foley, a high-flying executive at Barnes & Noble, had a problem. He loved high-energy fitness classes, but between a demanding job and a growing family, he could never make the schedule work. He realized that while technology had disrupted movies with Netflix and music with Spotify, the fitness industry was still stuck in the dark ages of physical attendance. Foley did not just want to build a better bike, he wanted to build a media company. He envisioned a world where you could experience the raw energy of a New York City spin class from a basement in Ohio. But the road was brutal. Traditional venture capitalists did not get it. They saw an expensive piece of hardware that would eventually just become a very pricey clothes hanger. Foley was rejected by thousands of investors. He had to rely on grit and a small group of believers who saw the soul in the machine. Little did they know, a global catastrophe would soon turn their niche product into a global necessity.
By 2017, Peloton had found its groove. It was the perfect marriage of hardware and software. The bike was beautiful, the screen was massive, but the secret sauce was the content. Peloton realized that people do not buy bikes, they buy connection. They turned their instructors into global celebrities. Superstars like Robin Arzon and Cody Rigsby became household names, offering a mix of sweat and group therapy. The business model was a stroke of genius. You paid $2,000 for the bike and then $40 every single month for the subscription. This recurring revenue is the holy grail of Silicon Valley. It meant that once a customer bought in, they were locked into the ecosystem. Growth was steady, but then came 2020. When the world shut down due to the global pandemic, the gym doors locked, and suddenly, Peloton became the only game in town. Demand exploded by over 100% almost overnight. At the height of the lockdowns, Peloton was untouchable. Their valuation soared to $50 billion. Ships were lined up in the ocean just trying to deliver enough bikes to meet the insatiable American demand. For a brief moment, it looked like the traditional gym was dead forever. Foley and his team made a fateful decision during this period. They assumed this hypergrowth was the new normal. They invested hundreds of millions of dollars into massive new warehouses and even bought a manufacturing company called Precor for $420 million just to keep up with the orders. They were spending money like it was going out of style, believing that the world had fundamentally changed. But they were ignoring a basic law of physics. What goes up must eventually come down. They were building a massive infrastructure for a peak that was about to vanish. Just as Peloton reached its peak, the first cracks began to appear, and they were not financial, they were safety-related. The launch of the Peloton Tread Plus was supposed to be their next big act, but reports began to surface of a design flaw where the powerful belt could pull in small objects, pets, or even children. Tragically, one child lost their life, and dozens of others were injured. The company's initial response was a PR disaster. Instead of an immediate recall, they fought the Consumer Product Safety Commission, appearing cold and corporate. This defensive stance shattered the trust of their core community. Eventually, they were forced into a massive recall, costing them tens of millions in refunds and repairs. But the real cost was to their brand. The lovable fitness company suddenly looked like a reckless tech giant, and the halo began to fade. As the world reopened in 2022, Peloton faced a brutal reality check. People actually wanted to leave their houses. They wanted the social atmosphere of a real gym and the fresh air of the outdoors. Suddenly, the massive warehouses Peloton had built were filled with bikes that no one wanted to buy. The company was burning through cash at an alarming rate, nearly $1 billion a quarter. The stock price, which once sat at $160, began a terrifying descent towards single digits.
John Foley was forced to step down as CEO, and a new leader, Barry McCarthy, a former executive from Netflix and Spotify, was brought in to save the sinking ship. His mission was simple but painful: cut costs, lay off thousands of employees, and try to pivot the company from a hardware business to a software-first app.
Peloton still exists today, but it is a ghost of its former self. They are now partnering with their old rivals, like Lululemon and even hotel chains, trying to find any way to keep their subscription numbers alive. So, what is the $50 billion lesson? It is the danger of extrapolation bias. Just because a trend is happening now does not mean it will continue forever. Peloton mistook a temporary global crisis for a permanent shift in human nature. They built a business for a world where people never leave their living rooms, but humans are social creatures, and technology, no matter how shiny the screen, can rarely replace the feeling of a real community in the flesh. Peloton's story remains a monument to the era of cheap money and pandemic hype, a reminder that in business, the harder you ride in the wrong direction, the further you have to walk back.
Ultimately, Peloton's rise and fall teaches us that a great product is not always a great business. Their bike was, and still is, a marvel of engineering. Their instructors are some of the best in the world. But the company fell into the classic Silicon Valley trap of valuing growth over sustainability. They treated fitness like a software update, forgetting that physical assets have physical limits. As they try to rebuild their brand around an app, the question remains, can they ever regain the magic they had when the world was trapped indoors? Or was Peloton always destined to be a high-tech relic of a very specific moment in time? Whatever the outcome, the $50 billion lost will serve as a permanent warning to the next generation of tech founders. Success is about endurance, not just a sprint toward a valuation you cannot sustain. I hope this deep dive gave you a new perspective on the strategies and the relentless mindset behind these global icons. If you enjoy deconstructing business empires and tech legends in this Tech Archive style, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on all notifications. That way, you will never miss a new blueprint of history. For those of you ready to explore more boardroom coups and technological breakthroughs, I have handpicked 2 videos for you right here on the screen. Click one to keep watching. I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.